Co-founder of American Made Foundation, Maureen Steele. We're going to talk about how Biden used asylum fraud to get sovereignty and fund the invasion. Good morning, Maureen. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for being here. Now, you and the other co-founder, Ann Vandersteel, you have a lot to talk about when it comes to the affirmative asylum program, just kind of flooding the southern border with illegal aliens. Why is it that you have gotten so involved with this?
Well, my partner, Ann Vandersteel, was originally involved and still is with Michael Yon, who is one of the world's most renowned war reporters. And they had Operation Burning Edge running down on the border for a number of years. So Ann is a friend and my partner, and so I learned a lot about what was going on the border from her, and she's still very active with that, along with what were our other endeavors, which is really trying to cut the head off the snake with CPS and these lower family courts, abolishing those. So we have a number of initiatives going on with American Made Action, but certainly, our focus is our children, and the border links with foster care, CPS, the family courts, the child trafficking, all of that. It's all linked. You start pulling on one of these threads, and it just, everything's sort of linked together. It's like this links to that, to that, to that. And so it's very insidious, what our government has done with the NGOs and Catholic Charities and all these other organizations that are, allowing, our country to be invaded.
And it is true. And as a Catholic, every time they talk about, they're human beings, we got to take care of each other. I'm like, yeah, but we're a sovereign nation. We have laws as well. We can't do that. And I refuse to support it because I don't want anyone to be treated inhumanely, whether they're here legally or not. I don't want that. But I don't want them to come here in the first place. And Biden had a vacancy sign, and so they were coming in droves. I mean, giant groups of them.
Well, and it's not just like it was open. What's so important for people to understand, and I've seen it firsthand, and I talked to people that are down there. They were sending out flyers in other languages, telling them to come, inviting them to come. We were supplying buses. If you ever even watch these caravans when they're saying, oh, all these people are walking, you ever look at the film of it? They're all spotless. They're spotless. They're not, days of walking. They're all dusty. They're all clean because we were sending buses down there that actually had laundry facilities on them. We were giving these people cell phones and debit cards when they got to this country, and all paid for by you and I. And so it's even worse. There was plane ticket stubs down there on the ground, and Michael Yon has film of this. He would ask, excuse me, so do you recognize this? Yeah, those are plane tickets, and he's speaking in Spanish, and there's Spanish speakers with him interpreting it. We were buying people plane tickets and flying them here, or flying them up to the caravan so they could continue to walk and they could get all the dramatic footage. This was absolutely a stage-planned invasion paid for by the American taxpayers. It framed to look like, it was just a random invasion, but no, and we were also giving them instructions when you get to the border, here's what to say so you can get in. And there's written flyers on this, and they drop them from airplanes, and they just litter the ground, and people pick them up and get the messages. People don't even understand how insidious and how evil this was. It was really to implode our country.
Yeah, and to what end, though? Did they think they were all going to vote Democrat? Or, I mean...
Yeah, and I also think it's a new world order. It truly is to be the end of America. You can't have a country without borders, and,
No.
now the enemies are within. People that truly hate America and hate Americans are here. We're seeing it in Texas. We're seeing it in Minnesota, and a number of other states where they're literally, Sharia law is taking over, and that's unconstitutional. You can't have any other law. The supreme law of the land is the United States Constitution, and that's not being abided by, and no one's doing anything about it. It's being allowed.
That's what I want people to understand, that not everybody who came across the border was from Honduras or Mexico or a Latin American country. They were coming from places where they kind of want us dead.
Oh, 100%. And they would send them through Mexico. They'd fly them over so they could walk right through. Also, we had set up military camps down there, and there are what were disguised as what looked like FEMA camps. They were actually military camps, and they put all the Chinese military-aged men in them when they crossed the border. Why is that? Why isn't the mainstream media reporting on that? That's deeply concerning, but you don't hear about it. Mainstream media won't touch it. And that's what's so disturbing as well, is that our mainstream media is bought and paid for. It is a propaganda machine.
Absolutely.
It is just, and we saw that with Doge. We saw all the, tens of millions of dollars that are tax dollars that were going to pay these media outlets. I mean, that shouldn't be. So, again, that's just further evidence that the media is captured, and they used to be the watchdogs for the people. It's what kept people honest, because you had these gumshoes that would, expose and shine light in the darkness, and now they're part of it, which is disgusting. So we've turned into a corporatocracy, and everyone's on the take, and I think Doge really brilliantly put that on full display.
Yeah, and I love what's going on right now. Now, I have met some people who were here who did come across with Asylum, and that is a thing for some of them, who were in danger if they got sent home, whether they were being hunted by the government or whatever the case may be. They had, left a situation where they were going to be killed or whatever the case. Each one of them has their own reason. So, there are some who are here who I'm okay with. If you're in Haiti and you're just not going to live if you stay there and you go for asylum. But the rule is you have to go in the country next to you. You can't just all come to America. That's the part that really bothered me.
Yes, and it was planned that way. The other thing too is it's sort of like battered women. So many women throw that card on the table when they get divorced because they want the kids or more money. And the women who are truly abused, when they make that claim, they're discredited or they're not believed because so many women cry wolf. And it's the same thing when you're seeking asylum. If your life isn't truly in danger, it discredits every asylum claim. So we didn't have 10 million people whose lives were in danger, or 20 million people. You know what I mean? That's baloney. I mean, maybe there's several thousand, but to think that all of these people are being chased by their government and they're going to die if they stay there, that's just baloney. And we're not that dumb. We're not buying it. Again, it was all staged, and when people came here, also they were allowed to enter, and Biden changed the rules, changed the law, that after 180 days, everyone got a work permit, and in order to do that, you get a Social Security card. So now they can collect Social Security, and that American people who've been paying into this system for decades won't get, and they can get a job. And so, quote unquote, they're now legal. So he altered the definition of what legal status meant, and that is so often what the left does. You don't like the rules, you just change them. And that's what he did. And again, that's something else that most people are unaware of, and I'd written that in a couple of articles that I had put out there.
You've got to be pretty happy about what Trump's doing then by rounding up at least the criminals, starting with the criminals and getting them out of here and just sending them back to wherever it is they came from. But what do you think about them grabbing the cartel guys and bringing them back to America to stand trial?
I just think these people just need to go back to their country.
Yeah, I don't know why we're bringing them back here.
We don't need trials. We don't need to put more time and money into that, and we certainly don't need these people back here. Get them out, get them gone. They can go on trial in their own countries. They're criminals. But again, as far as Trump goes, he's being hamstrung by these judges. Alligator Alcatraz. There's all protests about that. We need to get these people out.
He does, yeah.
They do, and it's like now they defend criminals, and we're not talking about like the people you mentioned previously, the people who truly need asylum. Americans have always rolled out the red carpet for our brothers and sisters, no matter their religion. When people needed help, America always stands up. We're very generous people, and we help them. So that's not who we're talking about.
Nope.
We're talking about the foreign invaders who came in, and not the people who came here legally, the people who came in to invade our nation. And these weren't families. When you saw these, the videos of all of these people coming, it was all men, all young men. There was not a lot of women in there, and there was a lot of unaccompanied minors, and over 350,000 of those children have gone missing, which is terrifying. Yeah. On top of the 400,000 in our own country, American children that have gone missing because of sex trafficking, and America is the number one consumer of it. And our foster care program, even according to Mike Pompeo when he was Secretary of State, said that they're the number one purveyors and suppliers of children into the sex slave industry.
Oh, Lord help us. You know, I just had a listener question, said that they personally know there are some families who came across the border, and we get that. We understand that, and they do want a better life for their families. We get that, but we have rules, and you have to do it legally.
Right. Come through legally like everyone else did.
Yeah. We've got a naturalization ceremony coming up, and we've got like 20 people who are going to be naturalized citizens here in just a week or so in Cape Girardeau. We're going to have a huge ceremony. About 200 people are going to attend, and it's going to be a beautiful thing because they did it the right way, and I will tell them welcome home. Now, I know if a family did come across illegally under Biden's rules, they're scared to death right now because they were promised something, and I kind of feel bad for them, even though they're not supposed to be here because, you know, somebody made a promise and then their butt couldn't cash the check.
Right. I mean, you're right
They're
about
stuck.
that. But there was always messaging going back the other way of, you know, even Trump was being very vocal about it. DeSantis, everyone, don't come here. Stop coming here. You know, if you're not coming through legally, you know, once Biden isn't president anymore, you're out of here. Mm-hmm. You are out of here, and you're going to be labeled a criminal, and you'll be charged accordingly. And they kept coming. So, you know, I certainly wouldn't do it if I had a family and children. It's, you know, these are parents who are responsible for the well-being of their children, and if you turn yourself into a criminal, you know, your kids are going to pay the price for it. I mean, whether you choose to go rob a bank or invade a country, if you chose to just go and park it in Canada with your kids, you're going to get tossed out, and you know it going in, because we have a process. You need to go through it, and they chose to not. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for it. I feel bad for the children because they had parents who made very poor decisions, but I don't feel bad. A country cannot exist without borders, and if America's lights go out, if we go dark, we're the beacon of freedom in the world, where, you know, the country everyone has always looked to. If we go down and our lights go out, the rest of the world goes dark as well. It's one of those things when you're the stable person in the family, or you're the person that has money in the family. If you're reckless with your funds and you're helping everyone in your family, if you're irresponsible and you lose all your money, not only can you not help yourself anymore, you can't help anyone else. And that's where America's at right now. America is falling apart, and people aren't taking it seriously enough.
Well, and if you misuse it enough, pretty soon the person who has been taking care of you will say that's it. And then all of a sudden everyone hates you. It's funny how that happens. All right, Maureen, where do people go to read your articles or find out more about America Made Foundation?
Sure. I have a Substack, Maureen Steele. It's also on the American Made Foundation Substack. We have www.americanmadeaction.org and AmericanMadeFoundation.org, a 501c3 and a 501c4. You can also follow me on Maureen Steele _ on X and on Facebook at Maureen Steele.
Yes. And if you believe the sovereignty of this nation is important, check them out. And thank you for your time today, Maureen.
Thanks for having me.
You're
Pleasure.
Bye-bye.